Okay, so we've answered the phone, we've used our transition statement, we've got our patient information, we built rapport, right? We built value to them, we answered their question, we've overcome all the objections and the questions, and now it's time to get them scheduled. Finally, right? Okay. So, a couple of questions for you all. At your respective offices, when a new patient schedules, do you send them their paperwork electronically, or do they have to come in and fill it out? In all three offices. So they all have that link, okay? How many of you don't get the patient paperwork back in a timely manner? Okay.
No matter how many ways or systems we get, and we'll even tell them if you, for some reason, cannot get it done prior to the appointment date, please come in 30 minutes early. We do require you that to do your paperwork, and still they'll come in 5 minutes early.
How many times will you reschedule them?
Say one time.
How long are your new patient appointments?
2 hours.
Okay. So you're willing to invest 4 hours in a patient that has never showed up and has a habit of not showing? Well, no, I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
I'm just saying to be fair.
I would maybe one only.
Okay. That's a lot of time, is it not?
Yeah, but we would remind them, if we do, like if we're going to continue doing that, we always remind them, we had 2 hours reserved for you on the schedule, you know, and we just want to make sure that you're able to commit to that amount of time, you know, before we reserve that again for you. The doctor will be seeing other, you know, seeing patients as well, you know, trying to help them understand the importance and the length of that.
Well, exactly. But if they've already short canceled on you, they don't understand the importance, do they? Truthfully, let's be realistic, they don't.
Especially if you don't, yeah, when they don't show it.
If there's no consequence, they're just going to keep doing it, right? That's just human nature. That's what we do.
So what do you guys do? No show, no call on a new patient?
New patient, no call, no show, they do not get rescheduled. But we tell them that. They know. Now, how we tell them, I'm very specific. I don't say if you can't keep this appointment, because the reason I can't keep an appointment and the reason that we think is important, for me, there might be a shoe sale and I can't come. To me, that's important. I would never not show up to an appointment for that, but patients think that way. So it's not a matter of if you can't keep this appointment, it's if you choose for any reason not to keep this appointment, I will not be able to reschedule you. And we tell them up front, because my doctor's like, they've already taken 2 hours. I'll never get that 2 hours back. My hygienist stood there and did nothing for 2 hours. They were frustrated. So we're not going to put them in that position again. They've already shown they don't value it. So I'm going to pass this around. These are some expectations that we should be setting for patients, for a new patient on a call. Okay, we also have expectations for existing patients, but for a new patient. Now, some of this I haven't updated this in a while because I got the COVID concerns, but some offices still make people wear masks and do things. So it's not political, it's just what was on there at the time. But we have to think about, how do we want the patient to react? What behavior do we want? And so how do we set out the expectation for that? So if you're telling them that they're going to get a welcome email, right? What are they supposed to do if they don't get the email? We need to tell them that. If we've sent out the new patient paperwork, we need to put a deadline on when it needs to come back. Because if you say fill it out before your appointment, which is worse? They show up at 2 o'clock to fill out their paperwork, or they send it in at 5 minutes to 2. It's kind of the same thing, isn't it? So when do you need the paperwork back? Me personally, because I know that if a patient fills out the paperwork, the likelihood of them showing up goes up. I want the paperwork back within about 48 hours. If I don't get it back, I cannot hold your reservation. So I tell them what happens if they don't send it back. I know offices that will tell you, I'm going to send you a link, new patient paperwork, get that, send it back to me filled out, and I'll call you back and we'll get you scheduled. There's offices that do that because you just can't. Yes?
So the trend very high rate of nobody has an email address.
Okay, can you text it to them?
It's very,
not even have cell phones.
it's very rural.
Okay. Okay. If you're scheduling a new patient, about how far out are you scheduling?
Right now, I'm about, like, February.
Okay, so a couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe, just because that's the way it works. I would either require they come by and pick it up, or I will mail it to you and you include a self-addressed stamped envelope and you mail that back. I need to have that back by the end of the week. Because now you're putting a timeline on it. You've put a clock on it. But you have to tell them what happens if they don't meet your expectation. If we don't get that back, I cannot hold your reservation for you. There's most people, now you guys are different because you're rural, it happens, there's those pockets, okay, but most people, the only reason they don't fill out the paperwork is they don't want to. That's why they don't do it. They're going to sit down, it's going to take them probably 10 or 15 minutes, and they don't want to do it. I'm too busy. I don't have time. I'll just do it when I go. So we can't. If we don't have it, we can't hold your reservation. So we've told them how they're going to get the paperwork, right? We're going to send you, you're going to receive an email. So when we're getting their information, what is the best email that you regularly check, right? Because people will say, well, it goes to, I don't ever check my email. What email did it go to? Okay, you knew it was coming, so what email do you regularly check? We want to know, again, what happens if they don't get it. If you don't receive this email or this link, if you're texting, whatever it is, by the end of the day, I don't know how quickly Revenue Well goes out. Some are immediate, some are within 2 hours. But if you don't receive it by the end of the day, please call us and let us know because I may need to resend it for you. You're putting the accountability back on the patient. Instead of them showing up and saying, oh, I never got it. If you don't get it by the end of today, let us know and we'll get that resubmitted to you. How long they're going to be there, exactly. Patients, according to a survey again done by Futuredonics, patients don't feel that you're running late if they're out on time. Okay? So you could be consistently 15 minutes late seating your patient, but if they're out at the time you told them they were going to be out, you weren't late. You weren't late seeing them. Okay? That's just the patient perception. So if we look at that, then we should set a time. We should tell them how long they're going to be here. Because people have lives, people have kids they have to pick up and places they have to be. And so they need to know how long they're going to be in an appointment. Your new patient appointment is going to be 2 hours. I always tell them plan on being here 2 hours and 10 minutes. Because if they've started quads or something, I don't want the patient running up to the front at 2 minutes to their appointment time saying, I got to go, I got to pick up my kids. 2 hours and 10 minutes. If you are under that time, if they get out at 2 hours, if they're walking out the door, you guys are rock stars. You ran ahead of schedule. I do that with everything. Whenever you schedule an appointment, set the expectation. You will be here 90 minutes for that appointment. Pad it by 10 minutes if you need to. But you'll have them out on time and they can then do their schedules. Insurance information. Do you get it beforehand? Do they give it to you? She's like, you bet they do. Yeah.
There may be other stuff that's questionable, but that's.
But they get that. And that's good because that's usually what they leave off, right? That's usually do they leave it off of yours? Yeah. Of course, you don't get yours back early though, do you? It's when they come in. But don't you know who they have?
Oh, I ask, it's part of when I schedule.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't have a card. Don't you know who my insurance is? Don't you know?
You already know.
Yeah, you already have that. Don't you know? So,
Somebody else made an appointment and it says, the insurance is in their husband's name, they'll call back. Okay, that's the worst thing, because you can't get back with that person. Always
oh yeah,
you can't get back.
you'll never be able to get them on the phone
You
again.
have to take advantage of the opportunity when you
Yep.
have it and say, I'll hold while you go find your card.
So I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, I don't have it, or my husband has the card, or we don't have cards, okay, you need to get with your HR department and get that information. So When you get your paperwork, there's a spot on the paperwork for your insurance information. If you don't have it, when you fill out the paperwork, that's not a problem. I need it no less than 3 days before your appointment. If you don't call me and give it to me, that's fine, but you'll be expected to pay in full when you come in. Once we get your insurance information, we'll file for your reimbursement. I don't have anybody that doesn't show up without their insurance information. They just don't, because nobody wants to pay, right? That's what they have insurance for. But I tell them what's going to happen if they don't have the information to us. And I tell them when I need it. Our insurance people need minimum 3 days in order to do a verification because they're that far ahead. So if I put it in the day before, then it's work for me because now I have to reach out to them and I have to tell them when we got this new one coming in, I don't want to do that. It's going to fall in the guideline that we already have, that system that we have set up. So what happens if we don't get the insurance? Is there a fee that they're going to need to pay? Sometimes we don't know, right? Because we don't know their insurance. Do you guys have EPOs here? Plans? EPO plans? One or two. Are you in network? So it's not a big deal? Okay. Okay.
I just heard about that for the first time today, so.
Oh, really? They're coming. They're coming. An EPO is like a PPO, but instead of a preferred provider organization, it's an exclusive provider organization. So for example, if you are a Delta Premier provider and you're in network and they have a Delta EPO, there's no benefit in your office because you're not a PPO provider. You have to physically be a PPO provider or that EPO won't pay. That's the insurance's way to keep people going to an in-network dentist. If it's a Cigna EPO and you don't take Cigna, there's no benefit in your office. They don't provide any benefit. So if we don't have their insurance information, we don't know. Sometimes we'll verify insurance and, wow, they only cover 70% of their DMP. And so we'll call the patient back and let them know, this is what your insurance, we're in network, but this is what your insurance said, you are going to owe XYZ for that visit. So we do tell them so there's no surprises. What do they need to bring to the appointment? What do you guys have them bring? I'm sorry? Okay. Anything else?
Medication list.
That's a big one. Yeah. For your photo ID, do you copy it and put it in do you copy their insurance card? Okay, perfect. Yeah, medication list. Anything else they need to bring?
Payment.
Their checkbook or their credit card? And I mean, you can tell them we take all forms of payment. Maybe you don't take American Express. Just so you're aware, our office has made the choice not to contract with American Express, or our merchant provider does not allow it. I mean, whatever you want to say, it's kind of hard to say we don't take it. We take MasterCard, Visa, and Discover. I mean, however you want to say it, but if there's one you don't take, if you don't take, maybe you're a cashless office and you don't take cash, we'll take chickens. But if maybe you're working towards, becoming cashless, you might want to go ahead and register their credit card. Can I go ahead and put a card on file for you? Do you have a card you'd like us to keep? But letting them know how they can pay in your office. What happens if they choose not to show up? So this is good for existing and for new, that you guys know your policies and you're very clear on it. So someone in the back said they schedule them one time. How many times do you schedule them here?
We don't have a policy.
Okay, so we just keep scheduling?
No,
Or we don't? No?
I don't keep scheduling them. If it's an inpatient, and I've observed them for 1 hour, I will let it slide one time, and then the next time,
Okay.
make sure that they know if they don't show up to this one, we can't put them on our schedule.
Okay.
We can't reserve that much time for them.
Exactly.
It's a lot of time. I've
It's
also told them that I can put them, like on a call list, like if we have a cancellation, I can call them and see if they want to come in. But typically that, doesn't really happen, so.
okay.
But I tell them after that first one, they don't show it, I won't be able to do it again.
Okay. What do you do in Hickson?
I'm in Trenton.
Trenton, I'm sorry. You schedule
Yeah,
them?
and I put, the same with her.
Okay.
And then I put alerts on everything that says broken appointments, schedule carefully, everywhere.
Okay.
She was like,
Do you inactivate them?
After that, second time, then I show you yes.
Okay, okay.
They're told.
So, again, letting them know what your office has decided. Are you going, if you choose for any reason not to keep this appointment, I won't be able to reschedule you, or you can only reschedule one time. Just be very clear and let them know, because they need to know. Obviously, if you have rules, you have exceptions, right? So if somebody calls me and they say, I was on my way to the appointment and I got rear-ended and I'm sitting by the side of the road waiting for the police to show up, I'm going to give them a pass. People don't make that stuff up because you don't want to throw that karma out there. But if they say, I got caught in a meeting at work and I wasn't able to come, no, that's not good enough, because you could have texted us, you could have called us, or you could have told your boss you have an appointment. We take our health care very seriously. So we want our ideal patient to do that as well. So letting them know what can happen so that they understand. If you're going to charge them, when are you going to charge them? And how much is it going to be? And then when's it due? What happens
Scheduled appointment.
before then or before,
Before we can put it back on the schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put them back on.
So not before the next scheduled, before they can schedule the next one. Okay. And what happens if they don't pay that? I mean,
Receive a statement until it's paid.
but if they don't pay, what, for the patient, what is the consequence if they,
They no longer get back on the schedule.
Are we still talking about new patients?
could be, do you charge new patients?
No.
Okay.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Because I think we've got to go.
Some offices do. Some offices will charge new patients. You guys don't collect anything from new patients beforehand, do you? You don't get a credit card or anything to hold them? Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. So we don't, but I know offices that do. They have to pay a deposit, and they basically take the credit card number, they put it into their merchant account, and then if they don't show, they're charged a fee. It's if you charge or not.
I know for like the larger, for treatment plans, I've come from offices where they have to pay half in order to even schedule. And then if they don't make it to that scheduled appointment, not all of the money is refunded.
There's so much taken out for a broken appointment charge. Yeah, yeah. And that's important, because if you've got somebody that's reserving an extra large amount of time, they need to put something up for that. It is not fair to the team, and it's not fair to the doctor if they don't, because what's the incentive to come? If they don't have the buy-in or they have fear, now they're not going to show up, and you've got 2 or 3 hours on your schedule. 2 for hygiene is bad enough. That's bad enough, because as a hygienist you get frustrated. It's like, now what am I going to do for 2 hours?
The patients need to respect our time as well.
Yeah. So you have to tell them why. This is why we have to do that. But I truly think if you have a bigger case, you definitely need to collect something. Do you guys still have any do you have like curbside check-in? Do you have any COVID protocols at all? Okay, you can cross that off. So what happens if they're not on time?
15 minutes.
15 minutes is your cutoff? Okay. Hygiene as well for recares, if they're 15, they just,
Especially for hygiene.
okay.
Or we may say we can do x-rays and exam. We'll have to reschedule your cleaning, or, we'll do what we can, but you're probably not gonna get a cleaning today, or whatever. We'll do
Yeah.
as much as we can.
That's what I recommend, because when people are late for their recare appointment, they're usually habitual, are they not? They'll start out being 5 minutes late, and then they'll be 10 minutes late, and then they'll be 12 minutes late. So we will go ahead and see them as long as we've got like 20 minutes, because that's our record-taking time. Take x-rays, review their health history, have the doctor come in, do the exam. But we let them know, we had you scheduled at 2, it was 2:30 before you got here, and I need 60 minutes to complete everything. So we're going to go ahead and get your record taken care of, and then we're going to get you rescheduled to come back and get your pro fee. They don't like that. They want the pro fee. Can't you just do the pro fee today? No, because then you won't come back for the exam and x-rays. So we do that, and then we can find usually a half an hour spot to put them in. Because my hygienist would rather do something. They're like, I would rather get that out of the way instead of not, because I know these people are going to be late. So some patients will schedule, bless you, their appointment will be at 2. We'll tell them it's at 1:40. So that they, and at what time we put it in, so they get the reminder. You know, we can do that too. But if they're not on time, if we'll do what we can. If you're too late, we won't be able to do anything, and we'll have to reschedule you. There is a fee for that. If you charge, I would charge a fee for that because they've broken that appointment. They were not able to complete the appointment. Do you charge for lates? Have it been? Okay.
Hey guys, are we doing like, are we telling as offices, are we telling the patients, up front that that the 15 minutes is a thing? I think we were saying,
No,
because they're gonna come, exactly, okay, cool, I just wanna make
You
sure.
mean telling them 15 minutes before
Yeah,
that?
no, just say like, we're not telling patients.
You can
Up
just
front
say,
saying,
if you're
were
15
late.
minutes, or just say, if you were
Yes.
late, we may have to.
Yes.
You may not be able to be.
Not to get
sent.
there in 15 minutes, because then they're gonna be like, come in 12 minutes, or you're
Oh, they'll do that. Well, I'm not 15 minutes late.
I know.
Please, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do what we can. We'll do the work we can if there's time available. If you start to inconvenience a patient, you're going to start changing the behavior. Okay? I learned that in ortho. Kids would break brackets, and when the parents had to bring them in to get them fixed during their lunch hour, they didn't like that. So the kids quit breaking their brackets. Because it was at 1 o'clock. That's when you have to bring them in. And it was like, "Oh, I'm working." Sorry. That's when we do it. But when you inconvenience them, they'll start to change the behavior. If it's a behavior that you want them to change. Okay, we have to be very gentle with our patients when we teach them things. We have to be soft with them, but we want to reward good behavior and discourage the behavior we don't want. Because dentistry as a whole teaches them bad things. Teaches them they don't have to be on time, that time isn't to be valued, the procedures are too expensive. That's what everybody learns just from social media and talking to everybody, and so we have to change that.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I've had the response when we mentioned the $75 appointment fee. I've had multiple patients actually say, well, okay, but if something comes up and you cancel on me or have to reschedule me less than 48 hours, do you pay me $75? Do I get credit on the account? How would you handle that?
I don't. That's one of the reasons we don't charge. Is life happens, things happen. I'd rather modify the behavior on their end and teach them, inconvenience them. But at the same time, just like you guys do, if you guys, yesterday I think you were running a couple of minutes late for somebody and you guys gave them a gift card. That's goodwill. That's what that is, because we don't usually do this. But sometimes things happen. Doctors get sick. Offices lose heat. Compressors go down, But if you have patients that you're charging because they no-showed, that's what they're going to say to you is, well, you canceled on me. You going to pay me now? And so, it's kind of like do as I say, not as I do. So
If someone has an emergency though, we're not gonna
Right.
charge them.
exactly.
They said, we had a doctor the other day saying, what if I schedule at 7 o'clock for my next appointment, I get called into surgeries.
Then you won't be
I have
here.
emergencies. Okay, well, we understand emergencies.
Yeah, you won't be here.
Yeah.
We get that. You won't be charged. We have a husband-wife in our office that they're an emergency doctor team. They work in the emergency room. And there's times that they don't show up. And we know it. We let it go because we know that if they could, they would have been there. And we usually get a call later on that day from them or one of the nurses in the hospital. Hey, so-and-so, wasn't able to be in this morning. They got called. Can we get their appointment rescheduled? So you always have exceptions, and that's perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
It's
Say to the person who says, are you gonna pay me, let things come up, and if it's, legitimate, but if it's repeated.
exactly. And if you're documenting why they're short canceling, and why they're no-showing, then you have that. I don't think that being called into a meeting at work, 2 hours before your appointment is considered an emergency. So, we chose to go ahead and charge you for that. But if their kids are sick,
Look at the notes and say this is the third time.
yeah. True story, I had a woman who hung up on me when I called her out on it. She was calling to cancel the 7th time. This is before we put the policy in place. This is why we did it. She called it was like over 12 months. 7th time she was calling to cancel. May I ask why? The doctor's going to ask me, why are you canceling the appointment? Oh, my mom was really sick and she just passed away. And the tears were flowing and I was like, I said, I'm just curious, how many moms do you have? She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, we've documented that you've done this 3 times. Your mom has died 3 times. So I'm just curious. I said, well, you have our condolences, but were they step parents? Click, never heard from her again. But we documented. So if it hadn't been me that answered the phone, somebody else might have been like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, let's get you rescheduled. No, it happens, but it doesn't happen 3 times. So we want to let them know too, what's going to be done at the appointment. What are they scheduled for? Do your appointments ever get changed a lot? I mean, is it a problem? Like if they're scheduled for this and when they come in, they get this?
Yes. Especially when the patient can change.
Well, yeah, we don't know what kind of service they're going to get there, but like if they're scheduled for a crown, does it end up being 2 fillings on different teeth as a usual thing? No? Okay. You're saying yes.
Well, until you said usual.
Oh, okay, yeah. It happens from time to time. They'll come in with a toothache, and so we have to take care of what's going on. But okay. So what's going to be done at that appointment? We need to let them know if they're a new patient. What are we telling them they're going to have done that day?
Exam, pro-feed, x-rays.
Plan on being here 2 hours.
The doctor likes to do a comprehensive full mouth exam, get to know you, your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a full mouth x-rays and then a cleaning afterward if we determine,
That you're eligible.
Yeah. they go
Like
for
healthy
it.
mouth cleaning.
Right.
Healthy mouth cleaning. So if they have perio, say I came in and I was in the hygiene chair and I had perio, because you would probably have the time, do you go ahead and start? Do you get like 1 quad or something? She says no.
As much as they can.
Yes, right? You guys are starting perio in the 2nd hour if the patient agrees to pay.
Okay, but if it's not a healthy mouth cleaning, you're doing something, right? They're 43, 46 or,
Joel says it's very
Okay.
rare that you do perio at the new patient.
Same day SRP?
We try to.
Oh, sure.
When they have,
Tracy just did one.
A lot of times they're.
We don't have a percentage, so it could be a lot of perception.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, typically, if we're able to do it, we will. But if the patient's like, no, I need to reschedule, or,
or if it's like a long comprehensive, like the long,
yeah, if it's very involved, or if the exam doesn't get done within that first hour, then.
Okay,
as long as you have a breakdown that's accurate that shows SRPs can do 4 quads today or 2 quads or whatever, they usually get started as much as they can.
yeah. Typically, if you get them to start, or if you've got a 43, 46, or if you end up having to do a debridement or something, if you can do something, you're committing them. They're going to come back and get the rest of it. And if you've got 2 hours, you should typically have time. Not always. I mean, things happen, but for the most part, you should have time to do that. So what's going to be done? It's our opportunity to build value, right? The doctor and the hygienist will both be doing a comprehensive evaluation, because you're going to, right? We're going to take any necessary x-rays that the doctor prescribes. I always say that the doctor prescribes because if we ask for x-rays, so many people say, oh, I don't want them. But if the doctor prescribed it, people will just do it. It's like, oh, okay, the doctor prescribed it. How do you guys handle x-rays that come from another office? I hate them.
A lot of times they're not, by the time they make it to us through the intravos, they're not diagnostic quality.
Exactly.
any additional, we will do that. And
Don't you hate when they have Delta or something like that and you have to take x-rays? It stinks. But set that expectation. If you'd like to have if we're going to get your x-rays, if you want us to call, whatever it is we're doing, if they are of diagnostic quality, we may be able to use them. And that way you're setting that expectation. But I sent you my x-rays, but they may not. And I loved how you used that, diagnostic quality. That's your qualifier right there.
And some other offices won't release them.
Or if it's over.
If it's other than,
Most of them will, but
if it's other than them, tell your patient to contact the OCR and file a complaint, because that is a finable offense and it is very expensive. It's sick how expensive it is. It's information blocking. They don't do it because they can afford to pay the fines. They fraudulently bill because they segregate people and they charge insurance different than they charge regular people without insurance. So they get fines for that. And then they get fines for information blocking.
Why do they do that?
Because they don't care. They can afford it. It's a numbers game to them.
I had one patient that stayed on them about it and demanded that he have them, that
Mhm.
they release them to him, and they printed the x-rays off.
That's better than faxing them.
Yeah.
They faxed me a set one time and I'm like, really?
I don't know how many times I have said, do not try to send that through fax. Yeah.
Just don't do it. Just know.
Sometimes you don't want to send it, just don't.
Just
send
know.
it. Yeah.
So, yes.
So in that case, do you prep the patient that this is the fee if your insurance doesn't cover those, or if you weren't for frequency, or do you do them at complimentary for those new patients that are coming to you? Because obviously they left somewhere else for a reason, and so you don't want to be like, well, you're gonna have to pay us because.
I'm going to say something that's not going to be very popular, so please don't kill the messenger. If the patient has insurance and the insurance, you send it in and then you write it off. If you do not submit a corrected claim, that's fraudulent billing. Because you told the insurance I was expecting to collect this much. And then you didn't. You just wrote it off. So you have to tell the insurance, no, it's really zero. You can send it to the insurance at zero because you don't expect to collect. But if your EagleSoft is set up properly, you will have to print that claim and change the fee on it or have a ghost code because your insurance claims go out at your full fee. So it doesn't matter what's on your ledger. It's going to go to the insurance at your full fee. Does that make sense? She's looking at me like, what?
Call and follow up on it.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh, they told me they weren't going to charge me for that. And then
Yeah.
there's a charge to their insurance and.
Yeah. So I prep them. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So what do you do?
I prep patients by letting them know that if the x-rays are of diagnostic quality, we can use them if you want to have them sent over. If you don't want to have them sent or we don't get them in their diagnostic, then we'll end up probably taking them at no charge to you. There won't be a charge. But that'll be what the doctor and you discuss because he'll prescribe those. My doctor looks at it as they're digital. It takes 2 seconds to take an FMX, and he'd much rather have a good one that he didn't charge for. We just have ghost codes that we put in that go zero, so we send it to the insurance. The reason you have to send everything to insurance is insurance has a date of accountability. And if they took an x-ray in 22 and they can't have one for 5 more years, and you take one at comp in 23, that age of accountability should change now to 23. The insurance, even though they didn't pay for it, it doesn't matter if they paid for it, but the patient had one, so they're not eligible now for 5 more years. But if you don't send that to them, then they don't know. The same goes if you are redoing a crown or a filling. You need to let them know because the date of accountability changes. So if you redo a crown 3 years into it, you do it at no charge, that's fine, but you have to let the insurance know you did that. because then that clock starts all over. And your contract, if you're contracted, if you're not contracted and there's no charge, you don't have to send it. You're not obligated. If you're contracted, it is a violation of your contract not to send everything you do. Even if you know they're gonna bundle it up and not let you charge for it, you have to send it to them. You agreed to that. That's what you said you were gonna do. And patients will start to catch you on it. They'll get their EOB and they'll be like, well, why wasn't this on there? Or why wasn't this on there? And if they call the insurance, enough people do it, it's gonna trigger an audit. Best case scenario, you just have to pay the fines, pay back the money. Worst case scenario, they're gonna rip up your contract and you have to report that to your malpractice insurance. So just don't do it. It's just easier. But it's kind of, that's why they do it. They can afford the fines. They don't care because it's a numbers game. If they get 30 new people in the door every week, they may only keep 10 of those, but those 10 are going to get a full perio treatment and they're going to get everything else and they're going to make up their money on it. So that's why they do that. But the regular office, first of all, you don't need a form for people to transfer records. They don't have to sign anything coming or going. And you have to get them reasonably within a few days, get them over to them. There's no charge for those. And if they don't do it, have your patients report them because that's information blocking. They have a right to their own records. Okay? So, again, what we're going to be doing at the appointment. So we're going to do a comprehensive evaluation, any x-rays that the doctor prescribes. Going to be doing a visual oral cancer screening because you guys do that at every appointment, right? And you document it, right? Okay. We're going to, what else do you do? Do you do like any type of saliva testing or anything like that on new patients? Anything out of the ordinary? Not yet. Not yet? It's coming. Okay, so then, and then at that time, I always say the hygienist and doctor will do a comprehensive evaluation as well as a head and neck exam, just because it's adding value. Then they'll determine what type of hygiene services you need, and we will let you know at that time what they'll be moving forward with as far as hygiene services, because we don't know what they need. You know, they could be going every 6 months, but that doesn't mean they were healthy. It doesn't mean they don't need a 43, 46. So we just have to set that expectation.
So you never tell them, we'll get you scheduled for a cleaning?
Please don't.
I tell them we'll evaluate what kind of hygiene. It's always hygiene services. There's a whole group of them, right? All the different cleanings and things that you can do. Cleaning is never used in my office, the word, unless it's attached to healthy mouth cleaning. We don't call it a perio cleaning. We don't call it a deep cleaning. We don't call it anything. It's a healthy mouth cleaning or it's periodontal maintenance or services or therapy, because it's confusing. Patients hear the word cleaning and that's, oh, my free cleaning. Mm-hmm. But it's not free. This one has a fee attached to it. Well, why? It's a cleaning. So it's just easier to use really descriptive words. You know, this is what you have. But if you're telling the patient on the phone, this is what we're doing, all these things we're going to do in this first visit, now if you're charging them for that, or you're going to do the DSP with them, they see the value. Wow, all that? It's not just, yeah, let me get you scheduled for your cleaning. We're doing all this cool stuff. You know, you're going to have a consultation with the doctor and he's going to, you know, get to know you. That's why we schedule 2 hours, so you have time to meet him and get all your needs met. Any opportunity to build value, because the bar is really low, guys. People aren't doing this. It's 30 seconds on the phone to schedule the appointment. People come in, they sit forever and wait. Then when they get seen, it's routine. You could walk in with perio and there's places that won't touch it. They don't care. They don't want to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't get done. Who are they going to be seeing? Another chance to edify, right? Your awesome hygienist or your amazing doctor. Something special about them. Do you guys keep your patients with the same hygienist or do you rotate?
Usually try to keep going.
Try. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Okay. So know your sizzle points about your hygienist. be able to share with them, I scheduled you with so-and-so because, you know, I've got the perfect hygienist to schedule you with, or, oh, you're going to love our doctor because, and this is who you're going to be seeing. Do they, when new patients call here, do they request, or do you guys have certain doctors that you schedule new patients with, or is it whoever has first availability?
Whoever's available unless they have a preference that they
Okay.
already, like say if they already, know Dr. Thompson or Dr. Davis or whomever.
Okay.
But otherwise, whoever's available.
Okay, perfect. And then again, if you haven't already addressed it with them, if the insurance question did not come up, we want to address it now. This is how your insurance works in our office. Do you file for them and accept assignment? Are you with the insurance and so they're going to receive the contracted rate? You file, do you collect copays at the time of service? Do you bill them afterwards? Do you collect copays to schedule? Whatever your internal policies are, you want to let the patient know so they know what to expect. If you go through all of these, and it takes a while, and you get a rhythm, you get a flow to where you say certain things at certain times. But if you start setting your expectations, you will realize that your patients are having a better experience because they knew exactly what to expect. And a lot of people, if they don't know, they won't ask. They just won't. Do you guys have water for your patients? A water and coffee bar? Is it a coffee pot or is it like a Keurig? Keurig. When you have new patients come in, I'm sure you guys greet them, right? They walk in and somebody stands up and welcomes them, right? Okay. Do you explain to them that the water and the Keurig are there if they want them at no charge? Do you ask them if they know how to use a Keurig? Or I'll tell you what I do, but some.
If you need any help with anything, let me know.
Yeah, some people don't know.
I never explained specifically.
We
There's
started,
some that stand there and they're like,
Yes, if I see that.
well, and they won't ask. They will not ask.
and the older men, worse. So I'll be like, hey, do you have a cup of coffee?
Oh, yeah, can I,
I don't
do you want me to let you know how this machine works? Because it's a different one. It's
They
new.
will not.
Try this.
They cannot Folgers out of a pot, they don't want it.
Grab a cup, go out there. You set your cup down. I was getting ready to make a cup of coffee for myself. Can I get you one? And they're always like, yes, please. Oh, sure. Move my cup. I don't ever make coffee for myself. But when I'm in the office, I'm out there all the time. I was getting ready to make a cup of coffee. Can I get you one? Because first of all, it's service, right? They don't have to get up and do it themselves. And secondly, a lot of them don't know and they won't ask. They don't want to ask a stupid question. So they won't come up and say, how do you use the Keurig? First time I saw one, I didn't know how to use it. I was like, what do I do?
It's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
You don't even know it's working.
Yeah.
First got me the other day, I was like, okay, I'll press it. And then I opened the lid, I didn't think it went through, so I pushed it back down, and then I saw it flashing, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So again, it's just that little moment that you can accelerate your customer service, you can elevate it, and you help your patient. But if you're setting these expectations when they come in, you're greeting them, we're so happy to see you. We have complimentary coffee and water. You know, if you'd like, I'm happy to make you a cup of coffee. It's not a big deal. What's it take? 15 seconds? 20 if your Keurig needs to be cleaned. So it's all those little things where you're setting all these expectations. You've built rapport with them on the phone. Now they're showing up and they're wowed. They walk into this building and they're wowed. This is an amazing space. So you are setting setting yourselves up for success with that. Your patients are going to stay. Definitely. Do you track retention rate? Did we talk about that yesterday?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
What is it? Retention. Oh, patients that come in versus patients that go out.
Okay.
We're gonna do it for-
Right.
Okay, so any questions, anything on the expectations that you guys, that's not on here, that you guys feel your patients should know? Or that you tell them already? No?
I mean, I think insurance is a big thing for patients to understand anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think the more they know about it, the better they'll feel about doing a procedure.
Exactly.
And the more that
Education.
we know
Mhm.
that we're knowledgeable in, and we're able to break it down to them, I think they greatly appreciate that.
Of course. So letting them know how it works. And then if I, we get your insurance verified, if there's anything weird, we'll get back with you. If it's something we don't know, because if you didn't know it when you were told about the plan, they don't know it. Or they know it and they're not telling you.
One of the things that we say is, we're gonna take this information and we're gonna do a complimentary benefits check where we're finding out all the details of how your insurance provides a benefit for you when you're in our office.
Excellent.
And then and we say that will help us to be ready to talk to you about your needs and how your insurance will provide the benefit. We don't say the insurance pays because
They don't. They give a benefit, yeah.
So that's one thing we say. But complimentary benefits check.
Yeah.
Complimentary.
And that right there is another reason that you need the insurance information by the deadline that whatever it is you've established in order to perform your complimentary benefits check and be prepared for you to come in.
So that you're not waiting in our office.
Yep, we need to have your insurance information back to us by the end of business tomorrow or whatever it is. Because now you've built value. Oh, they're going to do a benefits check. Cool. Because it just doesn't sound like something everybody else does. And it makes people happy. It's like, okay, they care. They're taking that extra time. So trust me, they're watching and listening to everything you're saying. So anytime you have the opportunity to show them the benefit of how they get better service because of it, they're going to like it. Okay, so we have these expectations. There's nothing else other, we talk about insurance, so there's nothing else that we need to add to this, right? Oh, yes.
You're doing this by adding value by, like you're saying, building rapport through explaining value and edifying providers. One thing on this list that I think about what we do, or maybe we could do better, is basically educating on our practice philosophy and the doctors and the providers' philosophy, and basically why they should choose us. But I guess they're already calling us, so maybe that's not necessary at that stage.
Well, it can be. That can be part of the sizzle.
Yeah.
Somebody may say, tell me about your last visit. Oh, I was over there. I feel like they're saying I need everything done. Let me explain to you about our treatment philosophy. As long as everybody knows it, everybody here has to be aware and can be able to recite that. But yes, that's important. That's a sizzle point, because so many offices, they're not about what's best for the patient. It's about either the kind of work the doctor wants to do or what's productive. Well, you can have those along with a great practice philosophy if you're following the lead of your practice philosophy. If it's like, if it fits, if it's warranted. You guys are, your true thing, I think is really, that's cool. Because it's not only the name of the thing, but it's an anagram. Or is that what it's called? Anagram, is that right? What's it called when you have a word? Yeah. So that's really neat. And to be able to explain that to patients, that this is the philosophy of our practice. If you want people to know, absolutely it should be added in, because that does set you apart. Most practices are not nearly as nice or as descriptive or everything to their patients. And the more you raise the bar, the more patients want to come here instead of going to other offices because of the service they're receiving. And so down the road, yes?
One other thing I was thinking about we would definitely need to know about is whether their patient record or the patient, if they've had a stroke or heart attack within the last 6 months, or if they've had knee replacement surgery or joint replacements, because we usually get medical clearance for all of that.
And that's when we're finishing up and we're getting additional info from them, we definitely ask about that. Pre-med is one big one, the replacements or anything like that. Okay, so we've got our expectations and we have to work those into the conversation. So the patient has decided that they're going to move forward and schedule that appointment. Now we have to place them in our schedule where we want them scheduled. So you may or may not use block scheduling, okay? That's not what this is about. It's about knowing where these appointments are for whatever type of patient it is and being able to move the patient to that appointment instead of when do you want to come in. It's your schedule, you need to determine it. New patients, do you guys have, I use the word rules, but I use it loosely, for when they can come in? When do the doctors like to have new patients here?
Try not to have two at the exact same time with that same doctor
Okay.
seeing.
Okay. They can come on Saturdays? So, do you have a preference of when you are doing new patient exams? Do you personally have a preference?
I've been pretty loose. I just want to see a full schedule.
Okay.
And so probably maybe I've been a little too open-ended because I think the challenge is when we have too many areas where I really am supposed to be at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we have a new patient and I happen to have to check 4 hygienists, because right now we might have 4 hygiene columns, but we're not making sure that the patients that prefer me or Dr. Thompson are staggered or not all hitting at the same time.
Okay.
And so I might have 1 hour with 0 hygiene checks, and then I might have the next hour with 4. So to answer your question, no.
Okay.
Although we have talked recently and implemented, maybe not with full effect, production column, low production column. So we're not putting low production or these high doctor time
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. So
Okay. Do you have a preference on when you like to see new patients? No. That was perfect.
In terms of time of day, no, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I am, with Dr. Davis there, it's sometimes can be quite a challenge if it's not scheduled in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that I'm neglecting, another
Yeah.
room or what, but no, I don't care if it's morning or, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Do you have a preference?
No, there's only 2 hygiene in Hickson, so typically, even if they have new patients at the same time, it can typically work pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Do you have a preference? Same, flexible? Okay. Okay. I'm going to ask a really weird question. Does the front office have any preference on when they want a new patient to come in? Do you guys stagger lunch? No? Okay. Do you have a preference on when you like new patients to come in?
The admin staggers.
We staff
Okay.
lunch staff.
Admin staggered. Okay.
There's always someone in front.
Okay. When is your next available, like in this office, when is the next available new patient hygiene appointment?
March, mid-March.
Okay.
February 19th.
No, it's not.
It's full.
I know, those are all March. It's like in March, mid-March.
That's when Dr. Mandy starts seeing patients.
I was like, that's a really specific day. Okay.
That's awesome.
And how many do you like to see a day?
I don't care as long as the schedule stays full.
Well,
And we
that's a
meet
good question.
production.
If our goal is 40 new patients a month, then we need to have, how many spots do we need to have available for new patients in their schedule?
Well, technically, I'll give you a number. You tell me if you agree with it, and I'll tell you why. Let me get my calculator out because I'm terrible with numbers. If you had 40 new patients a month,
10 weeks, 2.5 a day.
you would need 52 slots.
Do we need more because we're expecting cancellations?
You have more because you're expecting 30% of those to need quadrant scaling. Because 30% is the average, right? So you can use those 2-hour slots to do quadrant scaling. Because if you have a new patient come in, if your first new patient schedule is in March right now, what did you say, March 6th? Is that what you said? Around there, right? Okay. and I'm a new patient and I come in Monday and I need 4 quads, and you guys are rock stars, I get 1 done that day, it's going to be after March 6th before I can get in to get the other 3. So why would I get the one started now? Because it's, so you have to create room in your schedule for what you want to be in there. You have to. If you want, so you take 40 new patients, you figure 30% of those are going to be perio. So you need, 30% is 12, so you need 52 2-hour appointments.
And 52 divided by 4 weeks is 13 new patients
A week.
a week. 13 2-hour blocks.
A week.
Hygiene side every week.
Every week, is that what you said?
Mhm.
Okay. I'll look at next year's schedule. That's just, what are you talking about? I'm going to next year.
That would be, well, so this office is wanting 40 new patients
Yeah.
a month. You guys, I think your goal is 30 new patients a month. So it would be a slightly different calculation.
Yeah, so yours would be 39. You'd want 39 blocks.
You take 30 minutes.
Oh wait, where are you? Hang on, where are you? Is that more rural?
No, Tristan's wrong.
Oh, okay. So 39. How many new patients do you want a month?
What was it, 20?
20 to 25.
20, so 20 would be 6, so 26
As a
slots.
minimum. It
Yeah.
could be more, but we are out of
Of course.
right now, so the numbers are different.
Yeah,
And it's a smaller town, so, but we can accommodate for sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that many.
yes.
So if we're making the, because we've tried this before,
Mhm.
but we weren't sure when to fill those up. Do we leave them open up to like 48 hours prior to that day? Or when do you say, well, we're not filling those, we'll go ahead and fill it?
I recommend 48 hours, but as an office, that's what you guys decide. Maybe it's 72 hours you release it. Any kind of block, you have to honor the block for blocks to work. But you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't say, oh, there's a block, we can't touch it. You have to have a rule, if you will, 48, 72 hours. And you guys probably have enough hygiene patients that it'll get filled, if you release it 3 days before. But at that rate, you should have one the next day, right? Or the next day after. So if you're making new patients wait, if they're not seen typically within 3 to 5 days, the desire goes down. And they may schedule it, and then they're going to call the next name in the book, and as soon as somebody can see them in 3 to 5 days, they're going to schedule and go. But they don't have a relationship with you, so they're not calling you to tell you that they're not coming. So now the day before, you can't confirm them, and what do we do? Do we take them off? Do we leave them on? What do we do? And then they don't show up. Yes?
So, I know we slightly talked about it yesterday, so with an office this size and this many people, scheduling is everyone schedules. Is block scheduling, in your opinion, is that the best approach to that in order to make the best use of our schedule and
Absolutely.
schedule correctly?
Especially if you have more than one person scheduling.
Everybody schedules.
Your block should be very,
Yeah.
my block scheduling is a little different than a lot of people's block scheduling, but your block scheduling needs to be very detailed. And everybody has to understand we have to honor the block. But in order to do that, we have to have the same treatment philosophy between the doctors. And I'm not talking about when we do a crown or when we do this, but we have to understand there's certain ways that you're going to be building your block scheduling. So is everybody want it the same, or does people want it differently? There's ways that I see that work well and ways that work and ways that don't work. So it's kind of, there's a lot of office input in that, but you have to really be smart about it. And it takes about, if you're booked out, typically in hygiene, I'm not talking new patients, how far out is your hygiene booked in this office?
One opening on February the 5th at Snowfield, so it's late February.
Okay, and then you start having openings in the schedule?
Yeah, sporadic.
Yeah. So you guys could benefit from block scheduling probably in as little as 90 days, because you have to get the blocks in. You can't, in EagleSoft, you can't put them underneath appointments that are already there. You have to put them where there aren't any, so you have to kind of go out where the schedule's empty and then start putting your blocks in. But you have to honor the blocks. That's the biggest rule, is you can't say, well, You know, I've got a perio maintenance block here, and, you know, Susie always comes on Tuesdays at 10, and that's what's scheduled there, so I had to put her on it. Well, Susie doesn't have a standing appointment, so we've got to find, you know, or we can move the block. But certain people like certain blocks in certain places. For example, new patients in my office, we do not see them right before lunch, and we don't see them at the end of the day, because we're going to run late. Okay, and we don't want to run late to a new patient. And we don't want somebody sitting there at lunch trying to do a treatment plan when everybody else is gone, the hygienist is gone, and now there's questions, and the notes weren't complete enough for whatever reason, so we can't get the treatment plan done. And the end of the day, patients want to go. I got to go pick up my kids from soccer, and we're all trying to get out of there, so we just don't do it. We do them after lunch or we do them in the morning. And it just allows us to always run on time. But our patients know that, plus we guide them. When we schedule, we guide them to where we want them to be. And we do the same for crowns. We do the same for crown seats, fillings. Hygiene, we have perio maintenance and new patient SRP blocks. Because if we're creating urgency, what good is the urgency if we can't put them in? And if we don't have blocks, we typically will not have the room we need when we need it. It's just a universal truth with scheduling.
So that's when you go back to what you said this morning, like, he does the procedure at this time or this time.
Yep.
And then if they're like, well, I can't come at those times. This is the times we have.
Exactly. And they will come. We've just conditioned them to come after work or come first thing in the morning before, you know, and before work is great. I'm all about that. But my doctor will not start a crown at 2:30 in the afternoon. It's 1 o'clock at lunch, and if that's the latest, because he's already done 75% of his goal before lunch. That's how it's scheduled out. He doesn't want to do it. He's tired. He's like, I'm done. I'll do fillings and crown seats. I think people get that.
Dr. Davis is still young.
He don't care. He don't care.
I can't carry.
Well, you.
All removable at 4:30.
That just strikes fear in my heart. I'm just like, no. But that's how it works in my office. So we have certain blocks for certain things, and that's where we move people to. And my however word plays very heavily in that. I would love to schedule you after work. However, Dr. Princell sets time aside for crown prep appointments in the mornings or right after lunch.
Those are your options.
The doctor did it, not me. Don't kill the messenger. He did it. But also part of our scheduling rules is he would never tell a patient, oh yeah, we can do that in the afternoon. He doesn't get involved in that. He's not allowed to ask for, you know, he can't say, I need to see you back on next Tuesday. You know, I need to see you back the 1st of next week. Because we don't know what we're going to have. We may not, Tuesday, maybe he may have a huge surgery all day, so we can't see anybody. So we have scheduling rules that keep that from being overridden, but we release it 48 hours before, is for all of our blocks. And hygiene, we always fill them. Those are always easy to fill. But we're putting people in that want to be there. We're not putting people that have canceled over and over and over, because then those are your wild cards. Those are going to pop up and you're going to end up having to. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so we get to the patient, we're gonna make an appointment. Thanks for coming. Bye. So we get the patient, we're gonna schedule, we know pretty much when our next 2 appointments are, right? Whenever we schedule a patient, we give them 2 options. All right, we give them this or this. Because if you just give them this or nothing, then they're gonna pick this, and then it's not gonna work for their schedule, and then it's gonna be your fault they had to cancel their appointment. Okay? Bye. So, you know when these appointments are. So let's say that your new patient blocks, and that's what you have on the phone, your new patient blocks are, your next available is on Tuesday at 9 or Wednesday at 1 o'clock right after lunch, okay? So this is what I have. I have Tuesday at 9 or Wednesday at 1, which is better for you? And the patient says, I was really hoping for a Thursday. Okay, so now you pick your next 2 Thursdays. I have this Thursday in the morning and I have this Thursday in the afternoon. And you start to narrow down that way. Because front office, I know that this happens to you, it has in the past, it's a truth. If you ask a patient, when is the best time for you? What comes out of their mouth is already scheduled. And you'll say, well, I don't have that. What's another good time? And they keep giving you times that people are scheduled. It's like, why can't you pick an opening? So instead of telling them what you can't do, this is what I have. I can do this or this. Well, that doesn't work. Okay, I can do this or this. That doesn't work. What about this or this? Always start with what's first and move out from there. It's funny because I listen to calls and somebody will call for an emergency. Do you have emergency appointments today? At this time, we're fully committed. I'm like, yes, they said it. My first available is tomorrow at 4. After that, my next one would be Wednesday at 10. You don't have anything sooner? Well, I could do tomorrow morning. Then why didn't you tell me that to begin with? I'm just like, I don't understand. So they got flustered because the patient started questioning and they didn't know how to handle it. Okay? So you know when your appointments are, and if you have your blocks, that helps, but you offer them too. If your patients choose one of the options, they will most likely keep that appointment. If they don't have a choice, they're going to take it and not show. It's just, that's the way they're wired. Okay?
How do you guide them at that point? Because I've had multiple scheduling patients lately where I give them the 2 options, and then they say something like, well, I'm off on Wednesdays. Can you find something on a Wednesday? Mm-hmm. So then I give them 2 Wednesday options, just like you said. And those are further out.
Of course.
And once they realize how far out they're there, they go, oh, well, any day will work. They'll go, any day will work. Tell me what you got.
You go back to the first 2 you gave them.
And you're like, are you not?
Yeah, but then, what should I think? Should I think they're not going to keep this? Or what?
Well, no, they wanted what they wanted, but they wanted it now. So if you gave them something, for example, the end of this week and the first of next week, and then they said they wanted a Wednesday and you gave them something a month out, they wanted next Wednesday is what they wanted, and you didn't have it. So fine, whatever, I'll take anything. So you go back to the original 2 that you offered them. That would be Thursday at 10 or Monday at 2, which is best, and let them choose. If they want, did you have a question? Oh, okay. If it's like a crown, this was the biggest pushback we got when we first started doing this. We set aside time, the doctor sets aside times for these types of appointments, your crown prep appointments in the mornings. I have Monday or Tuesday, I have 10 or this time, whatever. Oh, I really needed something after work. I can just leave work a little bit early and come in. I would love to schedule that for you. However, the doctor sets aside these times in the morning, so this is what I have. If it's a 2-visit appointment or a new patient appointment, I'll do this too. What I will say is, however, at your delivery, when we bring you back to seat your crown, I can do that in the afternoon. I can definitely do that after work. Or if it's a new patient going, well, I didn't want to take the kids out of school, I understand that. What I can do is when you're an established patient, we see patients as late as 4 o'clock. So we'll be able to schedule those recurring appointments then at 4. But your first appointment, we need more time. That's when the doctor sets the time aside. And they're like, oh, okay, I get it. They realize it's not every time they come in. So we just guide them to those. And if you're doing that, if you're scheduling to goal, which I understand you guys do, right? If you're scheduling to goal and you have your blocks and your goals set out, by being able to put people where you need them, it's much easier to get your schedule filled, and it's much easier to schedule to goal. You don't have days like where you're up here with production, and then 2 days later you're down here, and it's all a bunch of non-production stuff, because you had your blocks in place, so you didn't allow that to happen. Does that make sense? Okay. So we get the appointment date. We finally get that set. we go through our expectations, right? We have a big list of them that we did. We have to go through all of those. Again, you'll get your own flow. So my flow would go something like, and I'm going to run down this list because I know I'll forget something. I'm going to be sending you out a new patient email, a welcome email. It's going to have a date and time confirmation of your appointment. It's also going to contain a link to your new patient paperwork. I will need that link back by tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock. If I don't get that back, I won't be able to hold your reservation. So if you don't get that link today, or you don't get the email, please reach out right away. It's also going to have a link to our Facebook page. So if you would click on that, like that, we do have specials on there that you can take advantage of. And there's turn-by-turn directions on our website, which is also a link in that email if you need directions. You did not give me your insurance information, so that needs to be on the paperwork, or as we spoke about, I will need you to give me a call with that by the end of day tomorrow so that our insurance coordinator can get your breakdown taken care of. If we don't have that before your appointment, that's fine. We'll just collect in full from you, and then we'll file for reimbursement once the insurance verifies that you're active with them. If for any reason you choose not to keep this appointment, I will not be able to reschedule you. So if life happens, you realize, tomorrow that you overbooked yourself, you can either change the other appointment or you can give us a call and we can get that moved. But once you don't show, I can't get you rescheduled. So tomorrow's going to be a good time for you, right? I'm getting a verbal commitment. And they say, yes. Okay, perfect. You have to look at it like this. If people give you their word, they're going to keep it 9 times out of 10. Let's say that Christy and I were friends. I lived here in Chattanooga, and she was doing something at the church. She was going to have a thing on Sunday for the littles, and she needed some setup help. And she reached out to me on Wednesday and said, hey, I've got to do some setup at the church on Sunday morning. Can you come help me? If I said, sure, I'd love to. I'd be happy to. Come Saturday, I may be like, oh, I don't want to go do that tomorrow. I don't want to, but you know what? I told her I'd be there, so I won't go. And I'd go. If I told her, let me think about it, I'll let you know. Let me check my calendar. Saturday rolls around, I don't want to go. Saturday night, I'm going to text her because I don't want to talk to her, right? Because now I'm bailing on her. I've had some stuff come up. I'm not going to be able to help you in the morning. Because I never committed. I never told her I would be there. So we have to get a commitment. Commitment is different for everybody. I don't know what's comfortable for you. I flat out ask. The way this works is we work by appointment only. I have this time reserved for you and you have it reserved for us. This is going to work for you, right? You have it on your schedule, right? You're going to be here, right? Those are the things I ask. Some people have a hard time asking that. It's like, well, they made the appointment, but you didn't get a verbal commitment. If you get the verbal, they will show. Okay? We go through all of our expectations. We tell them all of that. Whatever you're going to do. I always ask them, because I'm going to be emailing this to you, can you give me a good email that you regularly check? That way I get a good email address from them. And I let them know about the appointment cancellation. And then I say, now if you have your insurance card, if you want to go ahead and get that out, if they called about it especially, if you want to get your card, we'll talk about that later. But if you want to go ahead and grab your insurance card, we're going to go ahead and get that information. And so I can get that to our insurance coordinator. So then I go to the end. This end part here, I'm just gathering some miscellaneous information that I need. I want to know, do they have a secondary phone number? Is there a number that's better than the one you're calling from that you gave me to reach you? Can we text you at that number? Bless you. If you ask for an address or not, that's going to be office specific. Okay? We don't have any insurances that we verify in my office that ask us for the patient's zip code. MetLife is the only one that ever asks that if it's got 2 or 3 different ones, and if it's MetLife, we ask for it, but otherwise we don't. I'm not mailing them anything, so I don't need to get their address until they come in. That's just me. If you want to get their address, get their address. Okay? It's up to you. I get the insurance name, the ID, the group number, all that information off the card, and then we ask that medical history. Have you ever been told you need a pre-med for a dental appointment? Do you have any replacements that we need to be aware of? If the answer is yes, then we ask for their doctor name and the phone number, because we send a sheet over to get a clearance on that. And then we just kind of summarize everything. So, Sue, I've got you scheduled for Wednesday the 22nd at 2 p.m. We've discussed your welcome email that you're going to get. You're going to be scheduled with Heather. We're going to be, taking care of all of your dental needs that day. We're really excited about looking forward to seeing you. And I'm going to let the doctor and Heather both know that I've got you on their schedule. And you'll be hearing from the doctor the night before the appointment. What other questions do you have for me? And people will always say, oh, you've answered everything. So now I know I've set their expectations. These people are going to come in and they're going to have an excellent experience because I've dictated everything that's going to happen. And I know what our team's going to do. The team knows what they're going to be doing. Does that make sense? Okay?
What does the doctor do the night before? They said, you'll be hearing from the doctor the night before?
He calls all new patients the night before. We've actually just started using voice drop because he's gotten a little lazy. But yeah, call him. Just welcome to the practice. Anything you need me to know. Takes about 4 minutes a day. And once we do that, we found that new patients didn't not show. They quit canceling. They quit not showing up because he called them. So now they felt like they had to come. Now we use voice drop. We use engagement through Dental Intel, and it has voice drop. So you can record all these things, and you just drop it, and it hits their voicemail. So it's like we called and you didn't answer. So yeah, it's awesome. He's just recorded a message that said, hey, it's Dr. Princell. I was just reaching out because I see I have you on my schedule tomorrow. I'm really excited about meeting you, and if there's anything you need from us, you let us know.
That's awesome.
Yep. People are like, you called me last night. It was so cool. I got a call. Yeah. Yeah, we do it for follow-up calls. I mean, everything. We call a lot, for things like that. But it just makes the patients feel important. It's how we start out that whole thing with them. So, any questions on this? Any questions on new patients?
How long do you spend on the phone with new patients?
As long as it takes.
On average.
4 to 5 minutes, maybe 6. Probably 4 to 6. But it is as long as it takes. If I get a D on the phone and we're doing this can be done in 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes. If I have somebody like me who's got a lot of questions, it can take 7 or 8. But I always tell our team, I'm like, if you called the Ritz-Carlton to make a reservation and you had questions about their amenities, the person on the other end of the phone is not going to say, Dana, are you going to be making an appointment anytime soon? Or because we've been on the phone now 7 minutes. Do you want me to get you a reservation or not? They're just not going to do that. They're going to keep answering my questions. So average 4 to 7, 4 to 6. Do you guys have the time for that? Do you have the dedicated time with having the people up front?
We're fully staffed. We try to get 2 people at check-in, 1 person at check-out, and the hygienists are walking patients out in the back.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say yes.
That's very helpful to have them do. That's awesome. I love that. She said, yes, here they do. They're staffed enough.
We're staffed. Now that we have our wonderful new people, like when it was just Taylor and April, I'm sure you felt stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the other offices, do you guys have enough time to take? Okay, you're good? Okay, good. So, any questions on this? Any questions on what we say to our new patients, how we get them scheduled, expectations we're setting? Yes, please.
When you talk, when the 15, how the insurance works in the office,
Mm-hmm.
did you go into, how far did you go into it? That we're going to send their claims? How far did you go into that?
I do, yes. So, because typically, by now I've gotten their insurance information. So I just want to explain to you how your insurance works. We have one insurance in our office that we're not contracted with, and so they don't pay us. They pay the patient. So if that patient has the insurance, your insurance chooses not to provide a benefit to our office for your visit. So we will collect in full from you at the time of service. We file the claim electronically. You should receive your reimbursement per your policy with the insurance within about 10 to 14 days. And a lot of times we get, wait, what? The insurance doesn't pay you? Your insurance chooses not to provide us the reimbursement for your visit. They want to send that directly to you because that's the insurance's choice. It wasn't a rule we made. Everything on the insurance goes back to the patient. It's always on the patient. It's your insurance. Your insurance made this decision.
And we have an insurance, does that?
Pardon?
There's one, do we have one insurance that does that too? For the patient?
Yes, and you know what, I think the patient was gonna think, oh, I got paid, I bet they got paid too, I'm not saying a word.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, did you not collect from the patient?
No, because we weren't aware of it.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally, when our billing department was following up on it, we found out the check number so-and-so was cashed by the patient.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, we find that out. We call and ask. It's like, was the check cashed? Who cashed it? Who was it made to? I call patients all the time, and it's like, you received the check from you. No, I didn't.
It was only maybe once or twice
Yeah,
in 5 years that I remember it happened.
yeah. So that's always a good question to ask on the breakdowns is, do you accept assignment of benefits? Some plans, especially if they are self-funded, even if you uncheck, like let's say that you were fee for service, because some offices go through this, they want the patient to pay them and everything gets sent back to the patients. Self-funded plans, even if you uncheck the assignment of benefits, they don't have to send it to the patient, they'll still send it to the office sometimes. Self-funded plans don't have any rules. So you could check that you want the benefits and they'll send it to the patient anyway. Nothing you can do about it because they don't have any rules. But it's...
A welfare fund, like a union.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a good thing to check on your breakdown is, do you accept assignment of benefits and is this plan self-funded? It's always good to know because we talked a little bit about the never ever rule. Sometimes that doesn't apply to self-funded, and self-funded doesn't have a time limit on when they have to pay claims or when they can recoup money from claims. A self-funded plan could come back 5 years later and say, we overpaid and you have to pay them. Because there's no timely limit. So fun. I don't know why they don't have rules, but they don't. They don't. So what I would like to do now, what time is it? 3:30, okay. I'd like to talk about how we handle rescheduling, cancellations, that kind of thing. What questions do you guys have on that? Because I could talk for hours on it, and I want to get the information you guys want. How do you handle those? How do you handle those?
So for cancellation or or which one specifically?
Let's say that I'm calling in, my appointment's tomorrow, and I'm scheduled for a crown with Dr. Davis, and I'm calling to tell you that I have to go out of town all of a sudden. All of a sudden, I have to go out of town. I can't make the appointment.
That's a hard one. If they're like going out of town, and they're like, but I say, oh, okay, well, Dr. Davis was really looking forward to seeing you for that kind of 2-hour time he had reserved for you. Is there any way that you can keep that appointment, or are you, is there a way that you can come in a little bit earlier if we have earlier that day or something? I ask them if they can, but other than that, that's a hard one because it's like.
Do you reschedule them? Do you reschedule them, or do you say give us a call, or what do you?
I do. I typically reschedule them, and I say, and then when I say, okay, let's see if we can reserve a new spot for you that works for you and the doctor, but and then I kind of am even more specific about the time that is going to reserve, and say
2 hours. It's a long time. Yeah.
As a time that he has reserved just for you, and if there's any reason at all that you can't, and I ask him for an answer, I say, can you make this appointment, and get the verbal commitment kind of thing. But I say if there's any reason you can't make this appointment, we need to know, we need to know 48 hours in advance at least, to be able to, do anything, because there are other patients that would really like this, like that slot for care, to get taken care of, and if we can't.
Okay. What do you do then? Do you tell him? Do you put a note in his cubby that the patient canceled?
We don't really do that, the day before. If it's that same day, yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
Hey, your 2 o'clock just canceled, or just kind of
You go tell him. I don't want to go tell him.
They'll see, I know. They'll see.
Just come in the huddle the next day and see all these big open spots, and we'll all look at each other and huddle and say what happened.
Yeah. And
So
everybody's
we'll
like,
try to
I don't
fill
know.
that spot before that happens. We'll try to fill it.
But, yeah, and yeah, I don't know, we kind of, yeah, but we kind of gotta tell them, that we have a policy in place,
Yeah, without saying we have a policy in place. Yeah, okay.
And say we have a policy in place. And, you signed an agreement with us, you just signed a cancellation policy, can I ask why you're canceling?
Well, they should tell you. In dentistry, we've gotten way complacent because, the patient's always right and all that kind of stuff, so we've got to, well, okay, no. Do you guys come in the morning and there's cancellations on your voicemail?
Yes.
Oh, don't you hate that? Do you get email cancellation? When your confirmations go out, do they state, we do not accept changes or cancellations via text or email, please call the business office? No? If you put that on there, that helps.
48-hour thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but some people don't care. The night before, they call at night.
Yeah, they do call it.
Yeah, they call at night because they don't want to talk to you. That's why they leave a voice.
It's like 6 o'clock sometimes. It's like we were just.
So what I recommend is, first of all, you change your confirmation. It says on there, we do not accept changes or cancellations via text or email. Please call the business office. So if I come in the morning and say my 9 o'clock is canceled on the voicemail, we mark it, we go to huddle, everybody's aware of it, okay? 5 after 9, we're going to call that patient. Like they're just not showing up for their appointment, like they're late. And genuine concern. Hi, Mike, it's Dana at Dr. Princell's office. We had you scheduled at 9. Is everything okay? Oh, well, I called and canceled that. I had to work. Oh, well, yeah, I didn't get the message. We don't accept changes or cancellations through voicemail or email or text, so I didn't get that. So what's going on? Did you have to work? I mean, and I put him on the spot. Why did you do this? And now I'm calling you because you did not show up. So we get them, he gives me his reason. Great. I'm going to, I know Dr. Princell's disappointed. He had you scheduled for an hour and a half today. And I have my reason to return on there, right? So I can say to take care of that fractured tooth that you had. So how's that tooth, how's that feeling? And they're like, oh, no, not bothering me much. Okay, well, I'm going to let him know that you called, and that you weren't able to come in today. So let's go ahead and get you rescheduled. I get that done. And then we have a form. This is part of our cancellation, reason to return type stuff. We have a form. I fill it out, and it's got my name, Dana talked to Mike and the date and what he was coming in for. And then I put the date he was rescheduled for, and that goes into either my hygienist or my doctor's cubby, whoever it is. And then that patient gets a call from either the doctor or the hygienist at the end of the day. And the call goes something like this. If the doctor calls, hey Mike, it's Mike Princell. Is everything okay? I heard you couldn't make your appointment today. We're concerned. The patient's like, oh, yeah, I had to work. Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm glad, that you let us know. They didn't let us know, right? I'm glad you let us know. So when Dana talked to you, was she able to get you rescheduled? He knows they're rescheduled. He sees it right in front of him. Did she get you rescheduled? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, great. Well, we look forward to seeing you then. Just let us know if you need anything in the meantime. When we started doing this, our no-shows went to almost nothing because patients got a call from the principal. Yeah. Our hygienist would call. Oh my gosh, Karen told me you couldn't make your appointment today. Was everything okay? Oh, my kids got sick. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I love your littles. Well, I hope they feel better soon. Did she get you rescheduled? Yeah, she did. Great. I'll see you then. Kids are sick. You can't fight that, right? But now mom's like, wow, I had to cancel my appointment because I was home with the sick kids, and they called me to check on them. Oh my gosh. Now we were superstars. They just think we're the greatest thing. But if they lied to us, they feel like crap. They really do. They do. It stops it because nobody likes to be called out when they've done something like that. And you know, we get them rescheduled, but we have that form, and the form goes in the back, and we tell the patient, what was the reason again? Because that tells them we're documenting it. I'm going to go tell the doctor you were unable to keep your appointment. In a doctor's office, what happens when you don't keep your appointment? Does anybody even know? You don't even have to call. You just don't show up. What happens?
$100.
Maybe. Maybe. And that comes from the billing department, right? The nurse wipes her forehead and says, thank goodness I can go to the bathroom. Right? That's what happens when you don't show. So it takes a little time to get that system in place, but it is so effective because your patients don't do it anymore. And if they really were sick or in a car accident or whatever it was, then you're awesome because you called them and checked on them. And it's goodwill that you can't, there's no marketing that would buy that for you. And so your patients go to work the next day and say, you wouldn't believe this. Remember I had to leave yesterday to go pick the kids up because they were sick? My dentist called to check on them. And then people are like, my dentist doesn't call to check on me. Well, you're at the wrong dentist. So it's just people start talking. These are just the little bitty things that you can do that elevate what you do for your patients. So you have to decide as an office, are we going to reschedule short cancellations or not? How many times are we going to do it? You have to have that written down before you can start to teach your patients anything different. Because what they've done for years, you've been here 9 years, 8 years? What you've done for 8 years is what you've done, and you've trained them. So if you want to change it, you have to have your policy in place. Everybody knows it, and then you gently start to reteach your patients about it. But if cancellations are a problem, put a system in place to stop them, because they're only going to get worse. Especially during the holidays, inclement weather, people will always use, oh, it looks like it might snow tomorrow. I don't think I can come.
My favorite is, oh, I've got COVID. We've been dealing with COVID since
I know.
2020. We're all immune to it.
Yep.
And your sniffles, I am bother.
Everybody, that is the biggest get out of jail free card I have seen. Yeah. And so then when you have people that are repeat offenders, how far do you push them out? Like your hygiene patients, how far do you push them out when they call in to reschedule?
I know what
I'm sorry?
CDC's what.
Not for COVID, just if they just call to cancel. What was it you said? Well, it should be, shouldn't it? If they had an appointment scheduled for 6 months, and at the last minute they called because they have another doctor's appointment, first of all, how dare they, because your appointment was scheduled first. But then why would you give them an available, you have an opening on your schedule, chances are somebody's going to fill it, right? You're going to have somebody that calls in that hasn't been in a while or whatever. Why would you give them that appointment when they're going to do it again? First time is typically 4 to 6 weeks out. Second time is 9 to 12 weeks out. Third time is you give us a call when you know you're going to be able to be here, because we work by appointment only. And we get it, you're busy. You know, I understand that, life's busy, but it really messes up our schedule when you cancel at the last minute. And you seem to have trouble keeping the appointments that you reserved. There's nothing wrong with telling them that, because it's the truth. You're not making up anything. But you're also letting them know the behavior is not okay anymore.
Do you dismiss those kind of patients in your office?
It depends. Our protocol is if you have 2 short cancel or no-shows in 12 months, you will be dismissed. That's fairly new, because my doctor's like, I'm old and crotchety and I don't need to deal with it anymore. That's just his philosophy. It was 3, and we would put him on a you call us list. The only ones we dismiss are people that don't want to move forward with perio. That was just pretty much our standard. If they don't move forward with perio,
Oh,
or people that didn't pay their bill, I mean, that kind of stuff, we'd write it off as forgiven, send the 1099-C to the IRS and dismiss them. But now it's just recently changed. It's 2 times in 12 months and you'll be dismissed. Again, if you have a rule, you have exceptions. So if it's a really good patient, maybe they were sick, things like that, we have to take that into consideration. But we always try to make decisions based on what's good for the practice and good for the patient. It's got to be a balance. If it's just good for the practice and not good for the patient, we're probably not going to do it. If it's just good for the patient and not for the practice, then we're definitely not going to do it. So it has to be that balance. And that's where a lot of the protocols that you try to develop come from. It's what's fair to everybody. And then who are our exceptions? Because you always have exceptions. So if you have somebody that calls your no-shows, for example, who calls them?
The front desk. Or the hygienist, if it's in the hygiene chair.
The hygienist calls. Okay. If it's clinical, the front desk calls, right? Okay.
We actually do kind of either one.
Yeah. So then how do you reappoint those people? I mean, it's kind of the same thing,
They're a new patient.
We don't even call them.
Yeah.
We just-
Okay. That's fair. They didn't give you the time. If they don't value your time, what makes you think in 6 months they're going to value your time? They're just not.
But we need to put a note in the chart that says, new patient, no call, no show, do not reschedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can still inactivate them, but that note in the chart.
That's important because if they call back in 6 months, it's going to pop up and you're going to know. Definitely.
And if you don't have that noted, then if that patient's inactivated, you don't know why. You're like, okay, well, if you rescheduled you, I don't know. I wonder what happened.
Yeah. So documentation is huge. If they call and if they email, text, no show, no call you, whatever. Documentation is huge. I'm sorry,
We
what?
have some dentists trying to label themselves as old and crotchety. In this area.
And that is not I, so y'all might can narrow that down.
Those were his words, not mine. Those were not my words. So documentation is key for everything. If a patient calls and cancels, if they send a text or an email, anytime you have to document that they did that. If you don't document it, the next person isn't going to know, and they're going to be allowed to do it again. Just like with your notes, when you do your chart notes, you document everything extremely well. Those are the kind of things that you have to do. You don't do a chart note for it, but you need to have a note in the system. I don't know where you guys put them in EagleSoft, but wherever you put those.
Isn't it general?
Narrative notes, too.
And then when you have your regular patients that call in, if you can still use this because it still applies. I'd be happy to help you with that. Can I get some more information? They tell you who they are. Thank you for calling. When was the last time we saw you? 3 months ago. Great. Let me get you pulled up. We've got to be in the habit of reviewing everything when we pull that chart up. Do they owe a balance? Are they due for hygiene? Do we have a good phone number? All of this stuff. Because we get busy and we tend to want to skip through. Somebody calls, we just put their name in and we schedule them and away we go. And every time we do that, there's problems, right? We miss something. Either we don't have a good phone number or any phone number. Now we can't call them to confirm. So that documentation, making sure that we're always documenting who made the appointment, what the appointment was for. Any questions? No? No questions? Really? You guys are awesome.
This is really good stuff. And some of it is not new to us,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not doing it.
Right.
Well, it's
To be
easy.
honest,
It's
to be
easy to,
honest.
yeah, it's easy to not do it.
And, but this is, been, it's really helped us remember why it's so valuable to not skip the steps.
Well, we get busy.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And you guys having team meetings that you review these kind of things quarterly. Like, just one, we're going to talk about this system. We're going to update this system or protocol. Because just like you take your car into the shop, you have to take your team into the shop and you have to kind of recalibrate everything. And make sure that this is what we talked about. Yes, we should have been doing this. We haven't been. Let's re-implement this.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important because we forget. There's so much to remember. So. Okay, well, that's what I have for you guys. I usually get an hour's worth of questions, so I'm very excited. Oh, now here we come.
And thinking about a cancellation, especially something big, a crown, 2-hour crown appointment.
Mm-hmm.
You have the person, the older person who's brutally honest and calls and says, I thought about this, I've been thinking about this all this time, I can't afford it. I'm not coming, I can't. Check it out till further notice.
Okay.
Would you, give me a good.
Well, is it really about money?
Probably.
You think? People buy what they value.
Some of them think that they're not going to live much.
I find that with older people.
Or they say, why do I really need a grant?
Yeah.
If it's a question, if they come up with that, like I just don't feel the investment's worth it. I'm 80 years old. I will then say, George, I completely understand. Would it be okay if I asked the assistant, whoever it was, I'd look and see, can I have Lauren give you a call back so she can just kind of get some more information for the doctor about this? Because then Lauren's going to have an opportunity to educate him. I wasn't in the room. My front team wasn't in the room, so we can't really educate or speak to what they were talking about. So then I would put a note in Lauren's cubby, and by the end of the day, she would call him back and talk about it.
That's really good.
We do that with hygiene too. We get people that want to cancel periotherapy. Would it be okay if I had Heather call you back so she can get some additional information from you? Because I don't know what she said. I can show her an x-ray and she knows the doggone patient. She knows who it is. So she's going to remember what she said to them and the conversations that they had. Now, if I have a really good reason to return, sometimes I can use that. But when they are saying, take me off the books, I don't need it, that goes back to the education. They did not believe they had the problem that they have. And so that is for whoever talked to them originally to educate on. If it's about money, I'm going to say, well, George, tell me a little more about that. What can I do to help? Are you looking for some payment options? Would you like information on that? Or is it the monthly cost? Is it the overall cost? Tell me, what can I do to help you? Because I want you to be healthy. So let me know what I can do. I've had patients say, it's over my budget. They don't have insurance. It's $1,987 and I just can't do it. Okay, George, I'm going to talk to the doctor about that. All right, and I'm going to give you a call back. If there's anything we can do, I want to reach back out. Sometimes the doctor will say, take 15% off. See if a discount will move them forward if they don't have insurance. If they're older, there's a lot of factors. If it's a young 40-year-old who just doesn't want to pay the money because he's getting ready to go to Greece for the summer or something, he won't give him a discount. But we try to find ways to get around what the problem is. Is it really the problem? It's probably not. Knowing that people don't buy for it's time, it's lack of education, and fear. Money is down here. So if they say it's about money, is it? Share with me more about that. Tell me what you could afford. Would you be interested in payment options? I'd be happy to share that with you. And by always asking permission, you're giving the patient the ability to, at any point in time, say, no, I'm not ready. Okay, that's fine. And then you just document. Yes?
There are some, when you call 6 months, 6 months, but I didn't call 6 months ago, and you call and they miss their appointment, you call them, voice box is full.
Of course.
I guess email, what are the suggestions to get in touch with?
I'd send a letter.
Letter?
If the voicemail was full,
Yeah.
I would email and say, please call us regarding your upcoming appointment, is how I would say it, because people would be like,
That's tomorrow.
Upcoming appointment? I thought I missed that. Do I have another one? So then they'll call, okay? People are curious by nature. But I would also send a letter. We missed you. We were unable to reach you. We're really concerned. Is everything okay? Your voicemail was full and we couldn't get a hold of you. Please call and let us know you're okay. That's all I talk about. I don't even talk about the appointment. You missed it, okay, but are you okay? Because maybe they're not. You know, yeah, maybe they're not.
We'll look at their HIPAA form and their emergency contact, and I'll call them, and I'll be like, hey, I'm just wanting to check in, I've been trying to get a hold of Sierra, and she's not answering. Is she around, or are you able to know that I'm calling? I say that she's listed you on her HIPAA, so.
Yeah, that's great.
That's what I do.
Because it shows that you care.
Yeah.
If you didn't care, you wouldn't think to do that. I like that. I like that. I'm going to steal that.
For example, I did that yesterday.
But it really, it touches patients. It really does. It sets you apart and it makes them that much more loyal to you. Anytime you can do anything to show them that you care, because it's like I said before, it's not about the money. The money is a reflection of the service that you're giving your patients. The better service you give, the more people you serve, the more your production increases. And it's, you know, you guys are not a clinic. You have to pay the bills. That's just the bottom line. You have, you know, building payments and electric payments and payroll and everything else. It's not about how much money can I put in my pocket and walk out of here with. I want to do the right thing for the right reason. And when you relay that to patients, not only do you get them for life, they tell others. And your DSP is a great way to build that loyalty too. That's awesome for patients, especially ones that don't have insurance. You guys don't have the option here to use it with insurance, do you? I don't think in Tennessee you can. Yeah. I didn't think you could. Any other questions? Yes.
So I'm only asking because this happened earlier this week. We had a patient that called in, has a Blue Cross Advantage plan.
Mm-hmm.
Also is interested in getting a dental savings plan with Aetna.
Mm-hmm.
In all of my years, all of my knowledge, I could be wrong if I am, please correct me. If they have an insurance policy, that Aetna savings plan is no good. They cannot use that. That is like a discounted card to be presented at offices
That is going to be state specific and it's going to be based on what their primary says.
even though that's a dental savings.
Mm-hmm. It's because it's a discount plan. The one I know for certain people can use is Aflac. They can have that with anything. But as far as having the discount plan, I don't know how it would benefit them unless they were maxed on their primary. That's probably the only way that I could even see.
Well,
And you'd have to be in network with it for it to even matter. Wouldn't you? I mean, you have to be in network to honor the fee.
because the savings plan really isn't insurance.
It's just a,
Exactly.
It's just a discount plan.
But
access to a fee schedule.
if you're not in network with that, like the Aetna discount plan, if you're not in network with Aetna, then you don't honor the discount. You don't honor the fee schedule to charge the patient.
But we're in network with both.
Yeah.
Both Blue
Yeah.
Cross and Aetna.
I still don't see how it would benefit
How
them.
would you even be able to, even quote them?
I feel like whoever sold that patient the discount plan was not doing right by them.
They weren't. They weren't. They were just trying to make a sale.
Because I thought you couldn't do it. I thought the savings plan was like even though you don't have insurance, here's your little discount.
That's right, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It is, it's a pay at the time of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't,
I would think it
regarding coordination of benefits, Blue Cross wouldn't even acknowledge that as another insurance.
Well, Blue Cross would be primary too.
Right.
So the way you would have to look at that is if they had that, and I'm just going to throw numbers out because I don't know what the numbers are. Let's say that your,
Gotcha.
She probably misunderstood what it
yeah,
Okay.
say that your pro fee was $75. That's what your normal fee is, okay? And the discount plan was $40 as the secondary. As long as the primary pays $40, the patient doesn't owe anything. If your primary, and 40, let me rephrase that. You can only charge the patient the lowest of the two networks that you're in network with. That's all the patient's responsible for is the lowest. but you can collect up to your UCR fee. So if the other one's pro-fee fee was $42, okay, $40 is the most you could charge the patient. So as long as the first one paid $40, the patient wouldn't owe anything. But if they only paid $35, the patient would owe $5, even with both insurances. Because 42 was this one, 40 was this one, so he could be charged up to $40. It's a pain, is what it is. And people shouldn't be allowed to do that. They should. One insurance per person, that's all you get. One insurance per person. So, and your DDS, is that right? They should be able to guide you on that as well. They should have a calculator that you can use, or that they're using to determine who pays
One of
what.
the ones that say non-duplication. They don't duplicate benefits. Like Delta Dental will come out and say, if the person, if you have
Delta.
secondary is another Delta plan,
Yeah.
we're not paying anything.
You still don't, well, there again, your billing company shouldn't still be taking any write-offs until the secondary pays, but they're not going to pay anything because they're not going to pay more than what the other Delta would pay.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't coordinate. Doesn't mean we don't send it. We still have to send it,
Right.
but they don't coordinate until the first one runs out. And then that's when that kicks in. So I don't know why people would have two Deltas either. It doesn't make any
My
sense.
husband and wife both work for a company that has a Delta
Yeah.
plan, and they think that for some reason, 100% of everything I do is going to be covered.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay nothing out of pocket.
Exactly, and it doesn't work that way. I tell them, drop one because you don't need them both. They're not working for you. Oh, 3 is a nightmare.
That's miserable. At that point, you just don't even want to do anything.
2 is bad enough. 2 is for, it gives us nightmares.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad.
No, it's terrible. You can't, it's awful to try and quote someone.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you can.
And I had one where the one patient, the wife, had a Blue Advantage Sapphire, like covered 100%, but her husband was still working and he had a Cigna, nice good plan. And no matter what way we sent the claim, somebody wanted a primary EOB.
Yeah,
Nobody could figure out who was, well, you know, you guys do get out faster because we need some money.
but it's true.
It wastes so much time that, you know, we don't have the proper information and, you know, we need the primary EOB. You have, everybody's EOB.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, there are some practices that will collect full cost and then submit insurance on the back end. And if there's a refund due to the patient,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a refund.
Yeah.
And that's a lot easier because then you don't have to worry about the hustle and bustle of, oh, well, this insurance isn't going to pay this, so now we've told them that.
yeah. As long as you're not in network, you're good to go with that. I think if you're going to go fee for service, go fee for service. Don't accept assignment of benefit. It's too confusing. You know, it's easier just to teach your patients, you pay us, we file for you. It really is.
Do you find that it is difficult to transition into that fee-for-service from insurance with the patients and transitioning to that, how they react?
I don't think so. I do that for offices. I do that with them. It's a system. It's all it is a system. We average, my team and I average retention for an office that's going fee for service from being PPO. The insurance, the number of insured patients that they lose is averaging between 17 and 19% of the insurance that we're dropping. So it's not 20% of the practice, it's of that particular insurance, which is about maybe a little less than industry standard. But there's a system. You have to do it right. You have to do it systematically and talk to all your patients. Because patients know they have a crappy insurance. They know. They just don't realize what it means to you. They don't realize what that does to your business. And they like you. They don't want you to go out of business. They don't want you to give less care. So, but people are doing it all the time now. It's huge. Delta's getting dropped left and right. That is the big one.
Can't wait.
What'd you say?
Can't wait.
Can't wait to drop at Delta.
Yeah, Delta's the big one. Everybody is like, I'll stay in with these others, but I'm getting rid of Delta because they're just dropping left. I mean, they're reducing your fees left and right. And it doesn't seem fair. So, any other questions?
I just have one more thing.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to acknowledge the value of what we've experienced today. I mean, lots of incredible verbiage, right?
Yes.
So the questions that we've been asking, what do I say? We've got a lot right here. And, Dana has said what it takes is role play. So we're going to find great opportunities to role play with each other. And it takes checking in. So I want to let you know that that's what it takes. And so for us to be able to get the biggest value from this time with her, I want you to be open to that process. It's not going to be sneaky, but I'll let you know, hey, I'm going to listen to your treatment plans today, and we're going to see how it's going. And I really want to encourage you to be open to that because as 18 players, we want to know how we're doing. We want to know, how can I improve? So I see that in all of you. So, I hope that you can be excited with me and with us that we've got some great stuff. And now let's implement. Let's use it. Let's practice. Let's grow. Let's do it.
Awesome. Yes.
Can I be patient?
Can you be a patient?
I get my first feeling on Monday and I'm nervous and I'm thinking about canceling.
Look at you. Yes. Are you getting it here?
I have 48 hours, so.
If you leave them a message on Sunday night, just turn your cell phone off. They can't get a hold of you. What are you fearful of? Is it fear of the unknown?
This your first feeling?
Every day, she's not nervous.
That's okay.
Is this the first time you're having treatment done at all?
I mean, I got my wisdom teeth taken out, but I was asleep.
Yeah, you were knocked out for those.
It's not, other than the sounds, it's not really, and we have noise canceling headphones.
Are you fearful of getting numb? Is that where it comes from?
Our doctors have the latest techniques of getting pain-free injections.
They're very gentle.
I've had multiple myself.
I can promise you this. I know you're fearful, and that's completely normal because you haven't had this done before, so you have nothing to compare it to. If you can not let the negative get in your head, okay, because it's not going to hurt. I'm assuming he gives amazing injections, right? Okay, so
Patients are all
and you've seen it, right? You've seen firsthand. As you got to remember what you tell your patients. As he's doing this, the more relaxed you are, you're not going to feel anything. If you start tensing up, you're going to feel something, right? You tell your patients that. You've got to keep that in your head. You've got to put your headphones on and close your eyes and go to your happy place. And when it's done, you're going to be like, that was it. We're done. But it's normal to be afraid. This is you have nothing to compare this to. Your brain is saying, I don't have anything to gauge this against. Nothing except what you've seen. And that's good because you've seen more than one. So you've seen it's never been an issue. There's never been a problem. Nobody's hair ever caught on fire. So those kind of things, well, we think about that. People have dreams when they get their braces off that all their teeth are going to fall out. Okay, how many times have people's teeth fallen out when they get their braces off? It doesn't. But it's a real fear. It really is. And you are striking me as you're afraid to get numb. That's the biggest thing. Yep.
And then I go,
We could go practice now for Monday. Yes, I want to say something. I know exactly how you feel. Because I have been in the chair a few times, and I've experienced the same thing. And so I've felt that way, and many of our patients have felt that way, but here's what I found. that if you trust the process and you allow yourself to go to your happy place, that you'll come through it and you'll realize that was way bigger in your mind than it is in reality. So, you've seen our patients do that and say that was not as bad as I expected. And so because of and I'm using the felt pen.
Very good job. I noticed that. It's like, sweet.
But because our patients have experienced that, I've experienced that, and they found it's not near as bad as they think, I want you to have courage that you can do it.
And the fact that you work here, they're going to be even more gentle. You have nothing to worry about, but I know it's a real fear. Don't think about it this weekend. Don't let it ruin your weekend. Okay? Because it's still going to be here Monday. Worrying about it isn't going to change. Oh, there you go.
And also this, for you to have confidence, you have to go through this. Because once you go through this, it builds your confidence that it wasn't that bad, and that gives you strength and a testimony for our patients.
Absolutely.
So lean into that. Like you said, it's still going to be here, so you might as well go through it and win the confidence by doing it.
That's what I'm also looking forward to this experience with Ivan.
Absolutely.
Because I never had this experience. So I was like, when you were talking about that, I was like, do I lie to my patients that I've had this experience or tell the truth? You know?
See, Monday you'll be able to tell them, I understand your fear. I was there once myself. And I sat in the chair and I got numb and they did a filling and I realized it wasn't anything to be upset about. I made it bigger than it actually was. And that's what you'll find. But that's okay because you have to do that right now. That's what's helping you cope with it. Your brain is trying to tell you to run because it doesn't know what to expect. So walk through the procedure in your head. You know the procedure. Walk through that procedure. This is what's going to happen. On a very base level, our brain's job is to keep us alive. That's the job of it. And the way that we're wired, when something is unknown, the brain tries to tell you to get away from it because it doesn't know how to protect you. So with you, you've seen it done. Okay, I know the procedure. The first thing I'm going to do is this. Then they're going to do this. Then they're going to do this. And then your brain starts saying, oh, I've seen this before. This isn't dangerous. And that voice starts to quiet down. So just keep going through the procedure in your head. Because you know it's minimal. The procedure is minimal. And you're in great hands. Oh, no, you need to be numb. That's okay. And kudos for getting it done now. Because just like you tell your patients, it's never as inexpensive to take care of as it is today.
Well, you know the topical is really good.
I was going to say, have you put topical on, have you put it on your hand and on your tongue and on your lip before? You need to go do that now. You need to go put topical on your mouth.
Put it right here by 8 and 9. Or right here, like by number 8 up in the vestibule. Leave it there for a minute or two. You'll find out how strong.
Oh, yeah, you need to go do that because you need to know what they feel. And you need to know what to expect.
And I can honestly, truthfully say I never felt a needle. I used to, in previous years, I used to say, all I have to do is get through that needle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the numbness will start. I didn't even feel the needle.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And I dozed
I have a horrible fear of needles. Terrible. I started to get over it when I needed a root canal on 3. I had to get numb so many times because we were using Marcaine and I was burning it. And it would be 20 minutes in and I'd start feeling it again. So they kept having to do that. But I was numb at that point. But I had to have the root canal done 3 different times. So at that point I got over the needle fear. But when I had the one done on 14, it was the same thing. It's like, oh, it's in the roof of my mouth. I don't want to, no. But I didn't even feel it. It was, and I fell asleep. I fell asleep during the procedure. So go through it in your head. Seriously, put some topical on. You need to feel that. You need to know because otherwise, when you do feel it, it's going to feel weird and it's going to bring everything out of your head. But if you have it on, it's like, oh, I've done this before. This is no big deal. And so then when you get the injection to get numb, you won't even feel anything. And they have to be nice to you, right? They have to be good.
You know how some patients, patients can tell the doctor one thing, oh, that doesn't hurt. you know. But then, you know, on the front desk, they might say something different, you know, because they don't want to be in front of the doctor. But they already pay or whatever. But like, I've heard multiple patients about the injection itself. They're like, I have had injections everywhere else, like you said, I've had, and I could feel it, it was, ooh, you know, but they said here, both doctors, whoever, you know, they were like, here, I didn't feel anything at all. I didn't feel the pressure. And I'm like, I want to come back here. I want to get feelings more because I like it. And you're always like, whoa, it's amazing. But it's like not just to like the assistant or to the doctor. They'll tell you that I up here and eliminating, you know.
Thank you for sharing that with me because I know that's been sitting on you. Thank you for sharing. Any other questions?
All three important.
I want you to know too, Christy, what we talked about, the verbiage and stuff I'll be sending over. And if you guys have any questions for like the next 30, 45 days, how do we say this? What do we say? Just shoot me an email and I'll create something and send it back over. It's not a problem. Okay?
Thank you so
Of course. Thank you. This is that estimated patient portion that we went over. This is a copy if you guys want it. Okay? That's what that's, and then the case acceptance review that we went over.
Thank you, Dana.
Very welcome. Thank you.